Welcome back. This is Chicken Philosophy, the Meccan Revelations, part 83, in which I will pick up right where Edward left off in part 82. And, alright. So, first, we've got the beverage, which in this case is, chamomile lavender. It's this Vadam brand. So that's what's going on here. You can smell that. Okay, cheers. And for the incense, of course, since this is Meccan Revelations, what we'll do, we'll mix these up a bit, see if we get something different than what we've gotten the past several times in a row. So 1 is on top, 6 is on bottom. Gonna roll the die, I should say, and it's a 3. 1, 2, 3. Samarkand. It looks like Samarkand. So the first several times, until I realized, until I Googled, found out that's a city or a place in Uzbekistan with a lot of beautiful mosques and stuff. Oh, yes, very nice, very nice. Very nice incense packaging. And I did bring the candle, but I forgot to light it. So just for shits and giggles, as they say, I will go ahead and light the candle and use the candle to light the oud incense.
Hey, BT.
Oh, hey, Pymander.
How's it going?
Can't complain too much.
So you're doing today's yellow and green, right?
Yes! Thank you for reminding me. This is the yellow and green episode, and there's a yellow and green compilation that you can check out. There's the link right there. It's like the first 20 yellow and green episodes. So this is the 15th and final episode of the Ashram 15.
Last time we spoke was yellow and orange.
That's right. That was in the first quinary, right there in the middle.
So how did you guys do? Did you do an Ashram 15?
It had its ups and downs. Life kind of got in the way. We had an unexpected guest for a week or so, and an unexpected trip to Mumbai, and a lot of stuff. The weather, we got sick, got better, and all in all, I think that at the very least the seeds were planted, so that like the in the outward expression, like putting the image of the Ashram 15 out there on the astral, so that it can manifest later on in this next cycle.
The outer initiation versus the inward initiation, or something like that, if I recall correctly.
Yes, from the Confession of the Hierophant and the in-between part when everybody goes outside and the equinox ceremony and comes back in. So you're doing Padmasambhava today, right?
Yeah, I'm just about to do Padmasambhava part 24.
How are things going over on Buddhist Books Podcast?
It's good. I'm having trouble integrating Nagarjuna.
Right.
We added Nagarjuna a couple cycles ago, and having a rough time with it.
How so?
I guess what it is I feel like I'm supposed to like Nagarjuna, but I more than that, I feel like I'm supposed to be honest about my thoughts and feelings about what I read. And my honest reaction is so very negative that I feel like people are pulling away on Buddhist Books Podcast when they see how much I dislike Nagarjuna. It's a little reminiscent of when we did the Lotus Sutra like 4.5 years ago or whenever that was, and I just was so allergic to it that I ended up diving into Tipitaka to avoid reading the Lotus Sutra.
Right, but ultimately you're not trying to please anybody. It actually is a deep dive into the books themselves and our relationship with them. So I think you're right, erring on the side of honesty.
Yeah, it's an interesting process overall. This is a good thing we've got the Buddhist books B-sides.
That's right. Buddhist books B-sides right there.
Actually, I was referring to chicken philosophy itself.
Oh. Well, that's one way to look at it.
The shadow of Buddhist books podcast.
The old blind men and the elephant thing, right?
So you're going to read some Meccan Revelations?
That's the plan. Looks like we've got one more small section left. Yeah, very small. And then we'll be done talking about Sharia, and we'll be moving on to the science of letters.
Let's check in when you are at the end of your episode, after you've finished reading today, and after I've finished reading Padmasambhava, and then we can talk about what we read today. That'll be a little different.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
All right, talk to you then.
All right. Okay. Anyway, is there anything left to do here? We did the beverage, we did the incense. I guess we can move right along into the gift by Hafiz and kind of set the mood. And so we're going to do bibliomancy, choose one of Hafiz's poems at random, and we'll choose this one. That sounds interesting. There's two. I mean, there's one on either side, and I always err on the side of the right, so I'm going to go ahead and read them both. We read two last time, so why not? That tree we planted, beloved master, that tree we planted near the spot that became your tomb has grown so well that it is now several times my height. When the season comes that makes its leaves bow and whirl, Hafiz will then sleep upon the ground, hoping in at least a dream you will kiss my cheek again. Well, that was very interesting. I think this is a rare time where he was talking to someone other than just directly to God. He was talking to his teacher. It reminds me, I couldn't help being reminded of planting a tree for my dad at his old alma mater high school, a Bodhi tree in particular, because they grow as well in Southern California as they grow in Bodh Gaya, India. And it grew and grew and grew. Jerome and Chris and I used to read poetry sitting around it. We called ourselves the Brotherhood of the Tree of Enlightenment. We'd meet there and recite a poem or two, and that we'd written in our journals. And then, lo and behold, one day, the school just fucking tore the tree down. So fuck Flint Ridge Preparatory School for tearing down my dad's Bodhi tree. It was there in the front. We never put a placard on it, so I guess maybe they forgot. Whatever. Okay, next on the right side is I vote for you, God. What? I vote for you for God. Okay. Well, if we look at that phrase through Episcopalian eyes, then we can be like, oh yeah, okay, sure, well, whatever floats your boat. But anyone else's eyes, you're like, oh, God. No. But this is 14th century Persia, so I'll just keep reading. They voting? Sure, why not? I guess. What? When your eyes have found the strength to constantly speak to the world all that is most dear to your own life, when your hands, feet, and tongue can perform in that rare unison that comforts this longing earth with the knowledge, your soul has been groomed in his city of love. And when you can make others laugh with jokes that belittle no one, and your words always unite, Hafiz does vote for you. Hafiz will vote for you to be the minister of every country in this universe. Hafiz does vote for you, my dear. I vote for you to be God. All right. That's good. No complaints. Didn't blow my mind as much as some poems that he writes, but it's... Got to remember that's this when the Sufis talk about God, it's different from when various other assholes, someone say, "Oh, I'm voting for him for God." Oh, great. Okay. Jesus Christ, how many of you are there? Okay, we're doomed. Anyway, all right. Now we're gonna move on to the Gnostic and the Law, which is fun. The Gnostic seems to be the way that the translators translate whatever word that means the Sufi, the one who knows, the knower, right? And the law. So when we say Gnostic, sometimes we think of Nag Hammadi, sometimes, whatever. But the Gnostic and the law. And with our, preconceptions, with modern day Western preconceptions, you might be like, oh yeah, Gnostics not so into the law. They're by definition against the law. They are criminals, religious criminals, right? No, I mean, not according to Ibn Arabi, I guess. Which maybe that's he helped to standardize it so that people would stop getting in so much trouble about it. And he's like, no, we're into all that shit. And they were like, oh, you are? Okay, well, you can live. So this is in italics. It says here, this chapter, which is from the 5th section of the Futuhat, the Fasl al-Munazalat, parentheses, the Munazala, let us bear in mind, is a midpoint encounter between God, who descends toward his servant, and the servant who rises up toward him, end parentheses, rather reminds me of the mystic circumambulation, where the spiral cone, is built upward, and then the reverse cone downward makes the Earth hexagram, you might say, perhaps, or the tips just touch, like the water hexagram. What do you think I was going to say? The public men's room? Get your mind out of the turnpike. Never mind. All right. Defines this meeting in its title. What meeting? Oh, yeah, that meeting. One of the 78 treatises in this part of the work with the words, quote, he who knows what part of my law is his, knows what part of me is his. He who knows what part of my law is his, knows what part of me is his. For the degree to which you are in me is identical to the degree in which I occupy you. Is in me, and I am in. End quote. Observance of the Sharia appears here once again, not only as being imposed upon normal believers, but as constituting for the spiritual elite, the necessary and effective means of reaching the highest perfection. All right, you can finally catch up with me. No. In this regard, his ultimately calling these Arifun bi Lala, when there's two L's together, I like Laloid or Wolf. Tony, never mind. Quote, the guardians of the secret, the certain men, end quote, is quite revealing. It is, in fact, always in these or small or similar terms that Ibn Arabi refers to those beings who hold the highest rank in the initiatory hierarchy, the Malamiya, or, quote, people of blame, Mamma mia, sorry, end quote, those who, quote, are the hidden ones of this world, end quote, and the only individuals for whom, quote, theophany is perpetual, end quote. That's God revealing himself, right? Theophany is perpetual. Are the hidden ones of this world, the people of blame. So it's a good thing to be of blame. I don't pretend to understand it. I mean, I'm saying I don't pretend to understand it. You can pretend to understand it. So the noise, you might be hearing some banging and the doorbell earlier. There's an issue with the gas stove, which is one of the life happenings that came up, because I was making this very nice, very healthy oatmeal in the morning, and then the stove stopped working, so we've been ordering out for the past few days. And yeah, everybody we talked to about, hey, can you come fix our stove? Like, one person tried and was like, oh, yeah, I wasn't quite able to fix it. So we're like, oh, that's okay, we'll call someone else. And they're like, yeah, why didn't you call the government? Oh, what? Well, there's this government, agency just for this sort of thing. It's better, it's safer, it's more legal. Oh, well, okay. So what's their number? Yeah, they don't really have, like, a number. Like, all right, what's the website? All right, you punch in and you click. Okay, we will get back to you just as soon as we can. And then what? So we're going to come when we can. So we can't do anything? We can't, like, make any plans? We can't wait? We just have to kind of wait? And they didn't even call. They just showed up. They just rang the bell. They literally didn't give us any notice that they were coming today. Yesterday we waited all day. Anyway, so that's fun. Ooh, bureaucratic sillinesses. But it's good to hear that. That means that when I finish recording this, I can make steel-cut oatmeal, which I've gotten rather good at. And I don't really like any other breakfast now than that. That's part of the whole ashram phenomenon. Okay, on alms. God said, quote, mention me and I will mention you, end quote. God, sorry. Quran 2:152. I saw a beggar ask someone for alms, saying, quote, by the face of God, end quote, or, quote, by the reverence that you have for him, give me something, end quote. I was in the company of a pious servant named Mudawit, who was born in Ekija. Okay? Esija? I don't know. The man the beggar had addressed then opened a purse with silver pieces of various sizes in it, and began to look for the smallest of the pieces he could find. The pious servant then asked me, quote, do you know what he is looking for? End quote. Quote, you tell me. End quote. I replied, quote, he is trying to find his price and value in God's eyes. Every time he takes out a large piece, his whole being replies, quote within quotes, I am not worth that much to God, end quote within quotes. The man then took the smallest piece of silver he could find out of his purse and gave it to the beggar. And yet God made jealousy one of his attributes. And he knows that most of his servants are ready to give their most precious belongings to satisfy the desires of their souls and to reach their goals. Are we still in quotes? When did the quotes end? We're going to be in quotes forever and ever and unto the ages of ages? Seriously, when did the quotes end? The quotes haven't ended. All right, typo, I guess. I guess we'll just have to figure out based on context where the quotes end. So Ibn Arabi is talking, or he's not. Okay, anyway, but most of them, when they give for God, limit themselves to offering a piece of dry bread, a coin, an article of used clothing, or other things of the kind. This is the most frequent case. But when the day of resurrection comes, and God has what his servant has given out of love for him, what? Yeah, what his servant has given, okay. Love for him appear without anyone seeing it. and then he has what this servant has given for someone other than him appear, he will then say, quote, "O my servant, are these goods not the ones which I bestowed upon you? And where is what you gave to those who asked you for alms in my name?" And he will point to this insignificant, valueless object. Then God will ask, quote, are we in quotes within quotes within quotes within quotes within quotes within quotes? I guess so. We'll just keep reading. We'll just accept that we don't know in what onion layer of quotingness that we are. I mean, Thoth spake the universe, right? So we're all in quotes. But are we in quotes within quotes is the question. Is it a simulation? Because that'd be quotes within quotes, right? Within quotes. So where is that which you have given to satisfy the whims of your soul? End quote. And he will describe most of what the man had in his possession. God will then ask, quote, "Are you not ashamed to appear before me with something like this? And yet you knew that you would have to appear before me, and that I would assign you a place based on what you have done." End quote. What shame he will have then. Then God will say, quote, "I have pardoned you because of this beggar's request, and because of the joy that what you gave caused him. I have made your almsgiving action grow, and I have made what you gave to satisfy your passions disappear. I take your alms and I make them grow in your favor." End quote. God will then show the alms to witness, and the token contribution will have become larger than Mount Uhud. On the other hand, what the man had given for someone other than God will have become, quote, "scattered dust," end quote. Quran 25:23. God said, quote, "God has erased usury and made alms grow," end quote. Remind me, usury. Thank you, Editor Edward. Quran 2:76. Well, we all love being lectured about giving alms, right? Okay, continuing. The next section is called The Alms of the Gnostics. Okay. For the Gnostics, the most modest gift is large, and the largest is immense. They give to God both the most precious and the basest of what they have in them. They belong to God in their totality, and everything that is theirs belongs to him, since the slave and what he owns belong to his master. When they give, it is by the hand of God, and they also see the hand that receives as the hand of God.
May the hand of God be with you.
May the hand of God be with us all, Duncan.
Whether they give or receive, it is the same with detachment. All right. All the while conforming with perfect rectitude to good customs and to appropriate legal norms. Thus they occupy the same place with God that he occupies in their hearts. Quote, "They show themselves to be generous in their offerings made for him," end quote, Quran 22:32, and honor, quote, "the sacred institutions of God," end quote, Quran 22:30, and God will honor them on, quote, "the day when the witnesses stand up," end quote, "under their eyes," Quran 40:51, and when, quote, "the last," end quote, "are installed according to their rank, it will be the day of reciprocal deception." What? He who committed evil will say, quote, "May heaven design to note that I have done good," end quote, and he who has done good will say, quote, "May heaven design to note that I did even more." What? End quote. The Gnostic will say nothing, because he will have no change in his state, which will be in the future just as it was in this world. I mean from the point of view of the contemplation of his Lord and renunciation of all possessions and any authority. Right. No act is thus attributable to him that he might be sorry for not having done more, or for not having done better. And the faults that he commits are decreed by God, and are only performed by him under the effect of this decree, without appropriate willingness on his part. In bracket parentheses, without appropriate willingness on his part. He pardons them by substituting something good that is the exact equivalent of these faults, with nothing added or taken away. The Gnostic comes back to God, parentheses, or repents toward God, end quote, end parentheses, with each breath and in every act that proceeds from him, and his repentance is both the repentance that is prescribed by law and the repentance the essential realities require. The repentance prescribed by the law is sorrow for infractions committed. Sorrow that conforms to the essential realities consists in giving up any power, any strength, for the power and strength of God. The Gnostic continually keeps himself between these two forms of repentance as long as he is in this world, the world of legal obligation. Even if God lets him know that it has been said, quote, "Do as you wish, I have already forgiven you," end quote, that does not lead to his departing from his state of renunciation. After he receives this information, however, he is no longer forced to repent, since all his acts are put into the category of the licit, the recommended, or the obligatory, and none of them will ever return to the category of the blameworthy, or the forbidden. In effect, the law made this status cease for him in the present world. This is reported in an authentic tradition coming from God, a tradition of general application, even though it applied specifically to those who fought at Badr. Right? Badr? However, since this tradition applied to those who fought at Badr, it is worded only hypothetically, while there is no doubt about its general applicability. For the one whom God has informed that he belongs to this group, that constitutes good news coming from him for life on this earth. God said, quote, "Here is good news for those who believe and fear God, for both this life and the life to come, and the words of Allah do not change." And quote, Quran 10:63 through 64. Such is the case for the believer, or mu'min, who fears God. How much greater might the case be for the pure Gnostic, who has never donned a lying tunic, and who has never been anything but a light in a light. He who observes the rules of propriety prescribed by the law, and gives to nature what God has enjoined to him, what is deserved and nothing more, is one of the Gnostics. Respectful of the rules of propriety, he is one of the guardians of the secret, and one of the safe men. Quote, and God tells the truth and leads on the path, end quote, Quran 33:4. And we're done with the Sharia stuff. We finished it. We finished it. All right. Cool. So it seems like the overall thrust of that message is to be like the Gnostic. Then you don't have to worry about whether or not you're giving enough alms. I guess. Okay, and then there's notes. We don't need no stinking notes. That's like, the footnotes. All right, so this next section, it says, The Science of Letters, Denis Gril. So this is not Mr. Chodquits, it's Mr. Gril. Goody. So, okay, we've got another introduction. But an introduction to something else besides Sharia. So, you got a plus and a minus. Plus, it's not Sharia. Minus, it's not Ibn Arabi either. It's this new guy. So we've gotten to know Michel Chodquits pretty well. I don't know if we've gotten to know Denis Gril, but this is going to be Denis Gril talking about what we're going to be talking about, or talking about what Ibn Arabi is going to be talking about. Right? Okay, introduction and chapter analysis for the science of letters. The density.
My density has brought me to you.
What?
And the technical nature of the Futuhat's long second chapter should have sufficed to discourage us from attempting a translation of anything more than part of it. But the deeper we got into our endeavor, the more important we realized it was to underscore its place in the Futuhat. The science of letters is one of the most synthetic. We forgot to do letters. I think we've been forgetting to do letters, but it's a bit late. I don't want to. Heck, Editor Edward, what's the next letter?
Now, strictly speaking, perhaps, I have no idea. The sixth letter. So you remember last time the letter was Jim?
Jim.
Yes, which was the inspiration for Jim the Waco Kid as the right side of the thumbnail of the previous yellow and green episode from the what was that called? The spring of 2615. So it's been a full cycle of 15 since we remembered to do the letter. Cheers. So yeah, Jim. You remember Jim? Jim without the dot is ha. And with a dot above it, instead of within it, is a ka. So those are often considered to be the sixth and seventh letters. But since I know what you're thinking, if we combine them all in our mind and, think of them all as being the third letter, even though they're the fifth letter, I don't know where we lost track of how many letters there are, but no, this isn't. If you actually want to learn Arabic, go somewhere else. But for the sake of today, since I know what you're looking for is the letter after Gimel, or Jim, as they say in Arabic, Dal, as in the stuff that goes with bat. No, Dalbat. Anybody been to Nepal? Anyway, so yeah, Dal is the eighth letter, I guess, and it's cognate with Dalet, and originates from the ancient Phoenician Dalet, as does the Hebrew Dalet. There's the Phoenician one, and as usual, it's written in several ways depending on its position in the word. So yeah, the letter for today is Dal.
All right, thank you, Editor Edward. So that's today's letter. Okay, where were we? The science of letters, yes. The science of letters is one of the most synthetic. What do you mean? And one of the most elusive modes of expression in Islamic esotericism, because it represents the difficult transition of the inexpressible into that which can be expressed. This chapter immediately follows the chapter in which the young man, a personification of the spirit, reveals to the shaykh the specifics of his constitution. Ibn Arabi explains the contents of the chapter and then the different kinds of knowledge the Futuhat contains. Can God's knowledge be heard without the word without words? Capital W words. So are we talking about Jesus here or what? Or some other Greek logos? Or never mind. What? Words without letters, consonants, and vowels. Beyond the chapter's obvious complexity, a brief overview of its different parts may help to shed light on how tightly organized it is. Most of the basic questions and a number of the chapters of the book were introduced earlier via letters. There is good reason to believe that at an even deeper level, this chapter is one of the keys to the work. Proof of this begins to be seen when bits of information concerning the science of letters, scattered throughout the Futuhat and other treatises, are juxtaposed. It was in the science of letters that the Shaykh al-Akbar put the finishing touches on work he had begun by collecting information from a variety of sources, which he and his predecessors blended into a synthesis held together precisely by the letters themselves. The complete title of Chapter 2 is, quote, "On the knowledge of the hierarchical degrees of the consonants and vowels in the universe and their counterparts among the divine names, and on knowledge of words and of knowledge itself, of the knower and of the object of the knowledge," end quote. The chapter comprises 3 sections of quite different lengths. 1 on the knowledge of letters of their hierarchical degrees of the vowels or minor letters and of the divine names that correspond to them. 2 on knowledge and the vowels or minor letters by which words are distinguished. 3 on knowledge of the science, on the expert in it, and of the object of the science. Should I read a bit more? All right, just a bit. Section 1, Part 1. So again, this is Denis, not, what was his name again? Denis Gril, Gril. Mr. Gril, telling us about the thing, not translating it. Okay. Section 1, Part 1. The meanings carried by letters encompass absolute existence, with a capital E, in its totality. God and the universe, or more specifically, he who imposes the law and those upon whom it is imposed. It is through the letter that both what is written is drawn out and the law fulfilled. Far from being original or simple entities, however, letters themselves are produced by the rotation and intention of a specific number of celestial spheres. Among all the spheres that move concentrically within the total ultimate sphere, the Reshitha Gilgalim. Along with bringing letters into existence, the rotation of the spheres combines physical qualities, heat, cold, dryness, and humility, together in pairs. Heat and cold, dryness and no, not like that. More like what we're used to. The letters are thus located on the edge of the physical world, since these qualities, or original elements, give birth to the physical elements, fire, air, water, and earth, when they combine. Each of the spheres from which they emerge, moreover, goes through a cycle that has a certain number of years, and passes through a set number of mansions, just as the rotation of the ultimate sphere determines how long the total cycle will last. The science of letters can thus not be looked at independently of the science of the heavenly bodies or of the cosmic cycles. The more detailed outline of this question is to be found in Chapter 60. Quote, "On knowledge of the elements, of the influence of the higher world over the lower world, and of the cycle in which our present world is located." I'm going to go ahead and stop reading there for today.
So how was it?
Well, it was all right, I think. I mean, I don't really have any complaints. We finished the stuff about Sharia. That was the bulk of our reading today, and then a little bit there at the end, we got kind of to wade, put our feet in the water of the next section we're going to be reading on the science of letters. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a complaint about the stuff with the, giving alms, except for the whole qualifier that it has to be in the name of the Lord, because as you know, the Buddhist monks go around delivering alms, and also, as you know, when people from this faith, or, the dogmatic fundis counterpart to the Gnostic Sufis, I don't think it was Sufis that burned down Nalanda University specifically, but the Sufis were in agreement with the folks that burned them down, who would have been like, well, you may be giving alms, but you're not giving alms in the name of the Lord, and that kind of thing is kind of
irritating under the surface and an interesting challenge to kind of like, okay, you know, like see how this is a form of truth in spite of the many and various and well-known examples of its perversion. Yet more and more we see perversion of on all sides of different things, and so it's not so specific. It's more of a human thing that things get, you know, shat on. But you know, that was the first part, and then the second part, I don't know. I feel like we have a lot to look forward to with this, the science of the letters and all this, at least according to Monsieur Gril. We'll see how sometimes there's like a huge, vast space in between the French commentator and how he, you know, usually it's Michel Chodkowitz, but in this case it's Monsieur Gril. And Ibn Arabi. When we get to the Ibn Arabi, what Ibn Arabi is actually saying versus what the French guy says he's saying. So I don't know. Yeah, it's hopeful. I look forward to, you know, part 84 where Gwydion can take it from there and dive a bit more into the science of the letters. How about you? How was your reading today? Yeah, today we just finished volume 1 of the 2 volumes, so it was kind of a bigger day than I realized. We also got to meet the 4th introduced, if you count Yeshi, the author, as one of the introduced. They call consorts, the lady partners of Padmasambhava. I think it was last time, or maybe the time before, we met the one where wool is steeped. Kalasidi. Do you have, I believe it's Iburito? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. Can you find, there's hidden in a poem in there somewhere, there's the correspondences that we found online of, so today we met the Nepalese. Let me find her name. Right. Shakya Devi, the Nepalese. That cave that we went to, like, oh God, how long? It was 8 years ago now that we visited that cave and we meditated in there, and we knew that Padmasambhava was in there with one of his consorts in preparation for going to Tibet. But today we got to meet her, and she's pretty intense. Wasn't she the one with the webbed fingers and toes? Can you read the correspondences? So she's here under day 2, which refers to, the Bardo. Right, okay, so this is the first 5 days of the Bardo. You meet the consorts of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, also known as the 5 Dhyani Dakinis, who are said to have incarnated as the 5 consorts of Padmasambhava. So Lokana, who was the consort or girlfriend, partner of Akshobhya, both of whom have blue skin and are of the nature of water. And the eastern quadrant, the sort of the astral east, that Vajrayana east, where, you know, it's blue, everywhere everybody has blue skin. Lokana is her name, and Belmo Shakya Devi is the name that I have here. Okay, interesting. And just while we're here, so Yeshi Tsogyal, the author of the book and the queen in Tibet, the mother of Tibetan Buddhism, what are the direction and color and all that for her? Yeah, for Yeshi Tsogyal, she's on day 4. The name that she has this is like if, you know, Vishnu is the name of the god and Krishna is the name of the incarnation. So Yeshi Tsogyal is the name of the incarnation, at least according to whatever it is that this comes from. I really have no idea. Some form of Nyingma or something. So the Dakini, or the partner of Amitabha, famous for being the one that the Japanese pray to go to the Pure Land after they die. I mean, in Pure Land Buddhism. No, I'll just... Pandaravasini sounds a little bit Italian. Yeshi Tsogyal, red skin from the west. Oh, I didn't mention... the Shakya Devi is related to the Vajra, and Yeshi Tsogyal is related to the Padma, or the lotus, red, and the element fire. And then earlier we met Mandrava. There was a whole lot about Mandrava. over these past few months.
Mandrava has white skin, like albino, fully white. She's related to void or akasha or space. So rather than thinking void, oh god, you can just think of, this stuff. Oh, isn't that air? Okay, that stuff. The blue sky, isn't that air? Yeah, okay, but you know what I mean. It's akasha. You don't know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. Nobody knows what they mean. So her name is Akasha.Vishvari, and she incarnated as Mandrava. It says here Pakistan, but I'm pretty sure I had that wrong and that she's actually from Bihar. I think, it thinks like it's a little bit dreamlike, maybe, anyway. It says here Buddha. Why does it say Buddha? Vairocana Buddha? Center. Oh, right. Okay, so the 5 things. There's the Vajra, there's the Padma, there's the Buddha. Okay, that's fine. She's in the center. She's not in any of the 4 directions. She's right in the middle, related to Akasha, the color white, and there you go. That's Mandrava.
Okay. And then the one about the one where wool is steeped, that was adopted by Mandrava.
Kala Siddhi. Day 3. So Mamaki is the partner or consort of Ratna Sambhava, who's the yellow-skinned Buddha of the south, and they're related to the element of earth. She's got Ratna means jewel, and there's a double meaning there that it's the jewel of hypnosis from ritual, but also jewels, and so when she looks at a thing, and this might sound like. I mean, I've contemplated this before. So she's called mind maker. The mind. So she makes things hers. When she looks at hers, she says, "That's mine. That's mine." She makes it's mine. So not like give me that. That's already mine. When Gordon taught us that a long time ago, that we don't have to buy things. We can just have them. Just be like, oh, that they're on the shelf in the grocery store is mine. I don't need to take it off the shelf. It's already mine. So the mind maker, Mamaki, Belwong Kalasidi, says here Pakistan again, which I think again is wrong, and it's actually Bihar. Ratna Sambhava, she was related to the Ratna, or the jewel, so like the symbol, the Buddha, the Vajra, the Padma. So Vajra meaning diamond or thunder. Yellow and earth and south.
So I guess there's one left, if I'm thinking correctly, that we haven't met yet?
Right. Okay, so the one that's left, I believe in that book, The Life and Liberation of Padmasambhava, she is called Mangala. But she's more often, from what I've heard, known as Tashi, sometimes spelled Trashi, which looks like you could pronounce it trashy, but no, don't, Tashi Kedren. Now, she was the one who Padmasambhava was said to have given his breastplate, which we touched when we were in Bhutan at that Nyingma temple, and then said, "Get me a robe," which is the robe that you're wearing, Pymander. So we have a connection there to her. Samayatara is her name as the Buddha, the Lady Buddha, or however you want to put it, the partner of Amoghasiddhi. So they both have green skin. They're related to the direction north and the element air and karma or action.
All right, I guess she'll come up in volume 2. Now, one thing that struck me today, just as a nerd as far as correspondences of colors and directions and such, was when we read years ago at the beginning of this book, Padmasambhava was explaining the origins of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, the wisdom Buddhas, and who they were before they became Buddhas, and how each of the 5 came from a different caste.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so based on that, we had corresponded the 5 castes, if you count scheduled caste as one of the 5, the untouchable caste as the green, because what was it, Amoghasiddhi, whose skin is green, is from an untouchable caste.
And Tashi, presumably.
But the way that they correspond with the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, blue as warrior caste, yellow as merchant caste, red as servant caste, green as untouchable caste, and white as Brahmin caste was how we had thought of it ever since that day that, we read that about Padmasambhava's explanation of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, though.
Sure.
Here, when it talks about when the conquerors are born, if they are born warriors, a white flower appears. If they are born Brahmins, a red flower appears. If they are born merchants, a yellow flower appears. If they are born peasants, a blue flower appears.
So the yellow one is the only one that remains consistent.
And there's no green flower. They just leave out the untouchables in this case. So I don't know. Not much there, but it's just sort of odd that the color correspondences were different than they were at the beginning of the book. But
that's assuming that peasants means the same as servant. I mean, unless they're both lumped into that category. But it's interesting that they left off green.
Maybe that's a red herring, or a green herring, or a blue herring, or something.
Well, as long as it cuts down the mightiest tree in the forest for the Knights of Ni.
But yeah, all in all, today's reading was pretty intense. I recommend it. You'll put it as today's end screen?
Of course, yeah. We'll do the yellow and green compilation, and we'll do Padmasambhava 24 down here if you want to check out what he just read.
Sweet.
Well, thanks for stopping by today, Pymander. It's been fun.
All right. Well, hopefully, as what I'm guessing is going to be called the Monsoon 15 comes up, the seeds that were planted during the outward Ashram 15 will germinate and bloom within in actual, manifest, present time, lived experience, rather than just the outward form of the art of chicken philosophy or whatever. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be Monsoon 15 will be the name of the next cycle. It's the first time we've named it in advance.
All right, I'm going to do my thing, and I'll let you wrap up your 15th and final episode.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Where were we? Yeah, so there it is. That was today's reading. That was the Ashram 15. It is complete now. You got all 15 little cards. So no doubt sometime in the very near future, if not the very, very near future, the Ashram 15 video will be coming out. If it's out, then we'll put that there. And yeah, that should be fun. That wraps up the cycle. So we got our own whole thing going instead of, this corresponds to that. I try to avoid that. Like, if you look at all the cycles, it doesn't say what date. I mean, it does on the description of the cycle itself, but on each video within the cycle, or, whenever I do compilations of different things, I just sort of let it be like, oh, that was the cycle of 12 before there was a cycle of 15, rather than saying that was 2023, or that was early 2024. Just to let to kind of like, I don't know, break away from the over dependence on the collective consensus agreed upon, put there by Roman emperors, way of measuring life out in little increments, doing our own thing. It's making it fun, just for its own sake. Yeah. All in all, honestly, I wasn't that into today's reading, but I was hopeful toward the end that the science of letters is going to be at least a little bit intriguing. But yeah, we did our alms stuff. We did 10 years of alms, and so hopefully that's enough to cover me. I don't know, that's kind of my response to it is kind of like, well, you guys are assholes for these other reasons. Why, why are you going to guilt trip me for not giving enough alms or whatever? And it's like, I give in my own way, I mean, although I always say that this is all in fun, I also kind of think of Buddhist Books podcast and Chicken Philosophy as a form of giving of myself, giving of my time. For what? I'm not getting paid for it. Just to give, just to put something out there into the world, if
inspires somebody, or if it puts another spin or a slight like, oh, I hadn't considered that, out into the collective consciousness, then great. It's different from giving cash to people who are begging in the streets, specifically, literally, but that might be an apt metaphor for what it might be. Think a whole lot of myself and my thoughts, right? No. All right, so may you have a lovely weekend. I think it's Friday now, and I'll do my best to do the same. And we'll be back next time with Edward doing Carl Jung, the Blue and Black, and that'll be the beginning of the new cycle, the Monsoon 15, and during which the bulk of the stormy stuff will happen. So we'll try to make that the theme, and as the storms come and go, we'll include some footage of that for these next 15 episodes, something like that. I don't know. Whatever. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time. Oh, cheers.